Captain Gino stood on the bridge of the New Sol, watching the massive space station grow larger through the view screen. Zentara Prime was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The station stretched for hundreds of kilometers, its crystal towers glowing with soft blue light. Ships from dozens of alien species moved around it like tiny insects around a giant flower. "First contact with the Galactic Council," said Ambassador Hana, walking up beside him. "Hard to believe we made it this far." Gino nodded. "Took us 50 years just to get their attention. Another 10 years of messages back and forth, and now they want us to join them." The journey from Earth had taken 6 months. The New Sol carried humanity's best and brightest: scientists, engineers, diplomats, and a small military escort. Everyone on Earth was watching. This was humanity's chance to join the galaxy's ruling powers. Engineer Wu Jin was busy at his station, studying the alien technology around them. "Captain, their power readings are incredible. Each of those towers produces more energy than our entire fleet." "But look at the design," said Colonel Tejo, the military advisor. "Everything looks old. Beautiful but old. I wonder when they last upgraded their defenses." Ambassador Hana smoothed her formal robes. She had spent years learning alien languages and customs. "Remember, we're here as guests. We bring gifts of friendship and knowledge, medical technology, farming methods, and our research data." The communication system crackled to life. The voice was strange, like crystals singing. "Human vessel New Sol, you are cleared to dock at Bay 7. The Council awaits your arrival." As they approached the docking bay, Gino could see alien beings waiting for them. Tall creatures made of living crystal stood next to insect-like beings with multiple arms. Other shapes moved in the shadows, too strange to understand. "Nervous?" Hana asked. "Excited," Gino replied. "This changes everything for humanity." The docking process was smooth. The aliens had sent detailed instructions weeks ago. As the airlock opened, a group of humans stepped onto the station. The artificial gravity felt slightly heavier than Earth normal. The air smelled of ozone and something sweet. Chancellor Keltar approached them. The crystal being was 3 meters tall, its body glowing with internal light. When it spoke, the voice came from somewhere inside its chest. "Welcome, humans. We have waited long to meet you." Beside the Chancellor stood Queen Zixara of the Hegemony. Her insect body was covered in beautiful patterns, and her forearms moved gracefully as she spoke. "Your species shows great promise. We look forward to learning from each other." The next few days passed in a blur of meetings and ceremonies. The humans toured the station, met representatives from 12 different species, and shared their technology. The aliens seemed impressed with human medicine and farming techniques. "Your ability to adapt is remarkable," said one alien diplomat. "Most species develop along predictable paths. But humans, you surprise us." Wu Jin spent hours studying alien computers and power systems. "It's incredible," he told Gino. "They've had the same basic technology for thousands of years. They improve it slowly, carefully, but they don't innovate like we do." Taiho was more cautious. "I've been watching their security systems. They're strong, but they follow patterns. Very predictable patterns, and some of the equipment looks really old." Dr. Sola, the expedition scientist, was having the time of her life. She studied alien biology and shared human research data. "Each species has evolved to fill a specific role," she reported. "The Vorthak are builders and planners. The Hegemony are organizers. Others specialize in art or science or trade. But humans, we do everything." "Is that good or bad?" asked Nari, their communications specialist. "I think it makes them nervous," Sola said quietly. Meanwhile, Ambassador Hana worked on the membership treaty. The terms seemed generous. Humans would get access to alien technology and trade routes. In return, they would share their own innovations and follow council laws. "It's almost too good," Hana confided to Gino. "They're offering us everything we dreamed of." On the 5th day, the signing ceremony began. The Great Assembly Hall was enormous, with representatives from hundreds of worlds. Humans were a tiny group among thousands of aliens, but they felt proud to be there. Chancellor Keltar stood at the center of the hall. "Today we welcome a new species to our ancient brotherhood. The humans have shown us their wisdom, their creativity, and their desire for peace." Hana stepped forward with the treaty. As she reached for the signing stylus, alarms began ringing throughout the station. "What's happening?" Gino asked. An alien technician rushed to Queen Zixara and whispered something urgent. The Queen's expression changed, becoming cold and satisfied. I'm afraid there's been a change of plans, announced the Chancellor. Its crystal body now glowed with red light instead of blue. We have reconsidered humanity's application for membership. On the massive view screen above them, images appeared. Hundreds of alien warships were uncloaking around Earth. The planet looked tiny and defenseless against the vast fleet. You see, continued Queen Zixara, we have been watching your species for centuries. We know what you are capable of. Your rapid technological growth, your ability to adapt and overcome any challenge, your tendency to spread and multiply. The screen showed more fleets moving toward human colonies. Mars, Europa, the asteroid mining stations, all were surrounded by alien ships. 47 species have come before you, said the Chancellor. All showed the same dangerous traits. Rapid growth, unpredictable innovation, aggressive expansion. We have maintained galactic peace for 10,000 years by preventing such threats from arising. Hana stared at the screens in horror. You're going to attack Earth. We already have, said Queen Zixara. The view screen showed bright flashes around Earth. Cities were burning. Orbital platforms were exploding. Billions of people were dying. Consider it a mercy, added the Chancellor. Quick death is better than the chaos your species would bring to the galaxy. Gino grabbed his communicator. All human ships, emergency evacuation. Get away from the station now. But most of the human fleet was already gone. The aliens had been thorough. Only a few damaged ships managed to escape into hyperspace, carrying perhaps a few thousand survivors out of 8 billion humans. As the new soul fled the station, Hana looked back at the glowing towers of Zentara Prime. They planned this from the beginning. The invitation, the ceremony, everything was a lie. What do we do now? Asked Wu Jin. Captain Gino stared at the stars ahead. His home was gone. His people were dead. Everything humanity had built was ashes. Now we survive, he said quietly. And we remember. The asteroid was barely large enough to hide their ships. Captain Gino watched the welders working outside, trying to patch holes in their damaged hulls. 3 weeks had passed since the attack on Earth, and they were still counting the survivors. Final numbers are in, said communications specialist Nari, her voice hollow. 14 ships made it out. 4,736 people total. Gino closed his eyes. Out of 8 billion humans, less than 5,000 remained. The weight of it felt crushing. Any word from the other colonies? Asked Ambassador Hana. Nari shook her head. Nothing. All our stations went dark at the same time. Mars, Europa, Titan, the belt mining operations, everything. They had named their hiding place New Busan, after Gino's hometown. It was a large asteroid in an empty system, far from any trade routes. The survivors had hollowed out chambers inside the rock and set up basic life support. It wasn't much, but it was hidden. Dr. Sola entered the makeshift command center carrying a datapad. Her usually cheerful face was grim. I've been analyzing the alien database we captured from their station. You need to see this. She activated a holographic display showing a star map. Red markers appeared scattered across the galaxy. Each red dot represents an extinct species. I count 47 different civilizations that no longer exist. Natural causes? Asked Hana hopefully. No, look at the pattern. Sola highlighted the markers. Each species was eliminated just as they began rapid technological advancement. The Cathani were destroyed 500 years ago, when they developed faster-than-light travel. The Mordulans were wiped out 3,000 years ago after they invented quantum computers. Wu Jin studied the data. They've been doing this for 10,000 years. Whenever a species gets too advanced too quickly, the Council destroys them. But why? Asked Hana. Sola switched to another display showing alien biological data. Because most Council species evolve very slowly. They take thousands of years to develop new technology. But some species, like humans, grow exponentially when challenged. The Council sees that as a threat to their control. In the engineering section, weapons specialist Minho was working on something that would have been impossible on Earth. He had taken alien technology and combined it with human innovation. The result was terrifying. Show me what you've built, said Gino when he visited the workshop. Minho held up a device the size of a coffee cup, nanite swarm, based on alien construction technology, but programmed with human tactical algorithms. One of these can dismantle an entire ship in minutes. And this? Gino pointed to another device, biological weapon. It targets specific alien DNA sequences. Completely harmless to humans, lethal to whatever species we program it for. Minho's voice was cold. The aliens gave us their complete genetic database when they thought we were friends. Gino felt sick looking at the weapons. These could kill billions. Good, said Minho. That's exactly what they did to us. The survivors gathered in the main assembly chamber for a vote. Everyone was there, from the ship captains to the youngest children. The chamber was carved from solid rock, lit by emergency lights that cast long shadows. Ambassador Hana stood before them. We have a choice to make. We can take our ships and run to the Galactic Rim, hide among the empty stars and try to rebuild. It would take generations, but we might survive. She paused, looking at each face in the crowd. Or we can make them pay for what they did. An elderly engineer raised his hand. What chance do we have? There are less than 5,000 of us against trillions of aliens. They're not expecting us to fight back, said Colonel Taiho. Every species they've destroyed before either ran or tried to negotiate. No one has ever fought a war of revenge against the Council. Because no one survived their first strike, added Minho. They made a mistake with us. They left witnesses. Dr. Sola activated another holographic display. I've been studying their military doctrine. They're used to overwhelming force against helpless targets. They've never faced an enemy that adapts and evolves during combat. What you're talking about is genocide, said one of the scientists. We would be no better than them. They committed genocide, Hana replied quietly. 8 billion people are dead. Children, families, entire cities. They burned our world and called it mercy. The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to run and hide. Others wanted to find a peaceful solution. But more and more voices spoke for revenge. Captain Gino finally stood up. I keep thinking about what Chancellor Keltar said. They've maintained peace for 10,000 years by preventing threats from arising. They call it peace, but it's really the silence of the graveyard. He looked around the chamber. 47 civilizations are gone forever. Billions of beings who never got the chance to reach their potential. The Council talks about maintaining order, but they're really just maintaining their own power. So what do? Asked someone from the back. We become what they feared we might become, said Gino. But we do it for a reason. Not for conquest or power, but to make sure this never happens again. The vote was taken by secret ballot. When the results were announced, the chamber fell silent. The decision was unanimous. Not a single person had voted to run and hide. Hana looked at the voting results and felt something cold settle in her chest. Then it's decided. We go to war. Over the next few weeks, the survivors transformed their hiding place into a military base. The engineers studied captured alien technology and found ways to improve it. The scientists developed new weapons that combined the best of human and alien knowledge. The pilots trained for combat in spacecraft designed for stealth and speed. They also began planning their first strike. It would need to be perfect. Shocking enough to get the Council's attention, but not so large that it revealed their true strength. There's a mining operation in the Kepler system, reported Intelligence Officer Yuna. Automated mostly, but with a small alien crew. It's isolated and lightly defended. Perfect for a test run, said Gino. We hit it hard and fast. No survivors to report our tactics, but debris left behind to show we were there. What message do we want to send? Asked Hana. Minho smiled coldly. That the humans aren't as dead as they thought. The attack fleet consisted of just 3 ships modified with alien cloaking technology and armed with their new weapons. As they approached the mining station, the alien workers had no idea death was coming. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes. The human ships appeared from nowhere, struck with weapons the aliens had never seen before, and vanished back into space. When Council forces arrived to investigate, they found only wreckage and strange energy signatures, but in the debris, they found something else. A small recording device programmed to play a simple message. This is for Earth. Back at New Busan, the survivors watched the alien news reports. The Council was calling it a terrorist attack by unknown pirates, but Gino could see the fear in their eyes. They know it was us, said Nari, monitoring alien communications. They're increasing patrols and security around all their facilities. Good, said Hana. Let them waste resources on defense. It means fewer ships available for offensive operations. Dr. Sola was analyzing the battle recordings. Our new weapons worked perfectly. The nanites dismantled their shields in seconds, and the biological agents disabled their crew before they could send a distress signal. How many more operations can we run before they adapt? asked Gino. Hard to say, replied Wu Jin. But remember, they think slowly. It might take them months or years to develop countermeasures. Minho was already planning the next attack. I suggest we hit different types of targets. Keep them guessing about our capabilities and intentions. As the weeks passed, more attacks followed. Supply convoys vanished without a trace. Communication relays went silent. Patrol ships simply disappeared, leaving only empty space behind. The galaxy's rulers, who had maintained peace through fear for 10 millennia, began to experience something they had forgotten existed. They began to feel afraid. Commander Jinwoo crept through the shadows of the alien supply depot. His stealth suit made him nearly invisible, bending light around his body. Behind him, 5 other humans moved like ghosts through the facility. The alien guards had no idea they were there. 6 months had passed since the first attack. The human fleet had grown to 20 ships, all rebuilt with captured alien technology. They were smaller than council vessels, but faster and completely invisible to alien sensors. The humans had become the galaxy's most feared predators. "Target acquired," whispered Specialist Kyung through the comm system. 3 alien officers in the command center. "Remember the plan," Jinwoo replied quietly. "Leave 1 alive to tell the story." The attack was swift and silent. The human team disabled the facility's defenses, eliminated the guards, and destroyed the supply storage. When it was over, only 1 terrified alien remained, a young Vorthak technician who had hidden in a maintenance closet. The alien's crystal body was flickering with fear as Jinwoo approached. "Please," it said in broken human language, "don't kill me." "I'm not going to kill you," Jinwoo said calmly. "I want you to deliver a message. Tell the council that humans remember everything. Tell them we're coming for all of them." As the human team prepared to leave, they placed their signature calling card, a small holographic projector showing the names of Earth's destroyed cities. The list would play for days before the projector burned out. Back at New Busan, Intelligence Officer Yuna was intercepting council communications. "The depot attack is all over their networks. The survivor is telling everyone about the shadow humans that appeared from nowhere." "How are they responding?" asked Captain Gino. "Panic," Yuna smiled grimly. "They're pulling ships back from exploration missions to guard supply lines. Trade routes are shutting down because merchant vessels are too scared to travel alone." Admiral Do-hyun studied the galactic map. Red pins marked every successful human attack. There were dozens now scattered across council space. "We're not just destroying their assets. We're destroying their confidence." "The psychological impact is greater than the physical damage," agreed Dr. Sola. "For 10,000 years, the council has been the hunter. Now they're the prey and they don't know how to handle it." The next phase of operations targeted council military academies. These facilities trained the next generation of alien officers, and they were heavily defended. But the humans had learned that the best way to spread fear was to attack places that should be safe. The assault on Rigel 7th was Do-hyun's masterpiece. The academy was located on a fortified world with orbital defense platforms and a large military garrison. It should have been impossible to attack, but the humans didn't assault the planet directly. Instead, they infiltrated it. Transport approaching the academy, reported pilot Jiho as their disguised shuttle descended through the atmosphere. "We're reading as a scheduled supply delivery." The shuttle contained a strike team of 12 humans, all wearing captured alien uniforms and using fake identification. It had taken months to prepare the false documents and learn alien body language well enough to fool the guards. "Remember," said team leader Seung-jae as they landed, "we're not here to kill students. This is about sending a message." The infiltration went perfectly. The humans moved through the academy like they belonged there, placing charges in strategic locations and installing surveillance equipment. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, the team was already evacuating. The explosions were precisely timed. They destroyed the academy's main lecture halls, the weapons training facilities, and the command simulation center. No students were killed, but the message was clear. Nowhere was safe from human vengeance. But the real shock came when the aliens tried to clean up the damage. In the academy's central courtyard, they found a massive holographic projector that the humans had left behind. It displayed the names of every human victim from Earth, Mars, Europa, and the other colonies. 8 billion names scrolled past, each one representing a life cut short. The recording played continuously for a week before Council forces figured out how to shut it down. But by then, images of the memorial had spread across the galaxy. For the first time, alien civilians saw the true scope of what their leaders had done. "The Academy attack was brilliant," said Ambassador Hana as she reviewed the news reports. "It's making ordinary aliens question the Council's actions. Some of the member species are starting to withdraw their support," added Yuna. "I'm intercepting messages from several worlds demanding explanations about the genocide." But the Council's response was not what the humans expected. Instead of trying to negotiate or explain their actions, they escalated. "They're deploying something called Star Killers," reported Engineer Wu Jin, his face pale as he studied intercepted technical data. "Ancient weapons capable of destroying entire solar systems." Captain Gino felt his blood run cold. "They're planning to eliminate every system where humans might be hiding." "How many Star Killers do they have?" asked Do-hyun. "The data suggests at least 50, Wu Jin replied. "They've been hidden in secret facilities for thousands of years, waiting for a threat like us." The room fell silent. Even with all their technological advances, the humans couldn't fight weapons that could destroy stars. If the Council deployed the Star Killers, it would mean the end of human resistance. "There has to be a weakness," said Dr. Sola. "Weapons that powerful must require enormous amounts of energy and coordination." "The control systems," said Yuna suddenly. "If they're as old as Wu Jin thinks, they might still be centralized. Take out the command centers and the weapons become useless." Minho was already studying star charts. "The main Council command facility is on Zentara Prime, the same station where they betrayed us. That's the most heavily defended location in the galaxy," pointed out Taiho. "Hundreds of ships, orbital weapons platforms, shield generators. It would be suicide." "Not if we're smarter than they are," said Gino quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. "They expect us to attack like we have been. Quick strikes against weak targets. They're not prepared for a full assault." "What are you thinking?" asked Hana. "We've been fighting like guerrillas because we thought we were outnumbered," Gino explained. "But what if we're not? What if we've become something they can't handle?" Do-hyun caught on first. "You want to hit them with everything we have. All our ships, all our weapons, all our people. One massive battle." Gino nodded. "Win or lose, it ends the war." "And if we lose?" asked someone from the back of the room. "Then at least we take them with us," replied Minho grimly. The preparations took 2 months. Every human ship was upgraded with their most advanced technology. New weapons were built, shields were strengthened, and battle plans were refined down to the second. But the humans had one more surprise for the Council. As their fleet prepared to jump to Zentara Prime, they broadcast a message across the galaxy. It wasn't aimed at the Council leadership. It was aimed at ordinary alien civilians. The message was simple. It showed images of the 47 extinct species that the Council had destroyed over the millennia. It explained how the Council maintained power through genocide. And it asked a simple question. How many more civilizations must die for the Council's peace? Within hours, protests began on dozens of worlds. Alien civilians demanded answers from their leaders. Some Council member species announced they were withdrawing from the Alliance entirely. "The galaxy is in chaos," reported Yuna as she monitored communications. "Half the Council's member species are in open revolt." "Good," said Gino as he watched their fleet prepare for the final battle. "Let them see what their leaders really are." "Fleet reports ready for departure," announced Do-hyun. Gino looked around the command center one last time. These people had lost everything, their world, their families, their entire civilization. But they had not given up. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before, humans with nothing left to lose. "All ships," he said into the communicator, "jump to Zentara Prime. It's time to finish this." As the human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, heading for their final battle, alarms began ringing throughout Council space. The prey had finally turned around to face the hunters. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy's rulers discovered what it felt like to be afraid. Captain Jiwan stood in the cargo bay of her ship, looking at the most important discovery in human history. The data core contained the complete records of the Memorial Worlds 47, planets that the Council had turned into graveyards for extinct species. Each world holds billions of preserved bodies, explained Dr. Sola as she studied the alien records. Complete genetic samples, cultural archives, and historical data. The Council keeps them as trophies. Jiwan felt sick. They preserve the species they murder. Every single one, Sola nodded. The Kethani homeworld was turned into a museum of their civilization. The Mortalan's planet became a library of their scientific achievements. It's like they're collecting extinct species. Engineer Sulgi was working frantically at her station. If we can reach these worlds and broadcast the evidence, every species in the galaxy will see what the Council really is. How do we break through their planetary shields? Asked Jiwan. Sulgi smiled grimly and held up a device that looked like a metal sphere. Quantum resonance bomb. It creates a harmonic frequency that shatters energy shields from the inside. I can make enough to hit all 47 worlds simultaneously. The plan was audacious. While Admiral Dohyun led the main fleet toward Zentara Prime, smaller human teams would attack the Memorial Worlds. They would break through the shields, access the preserved records, and broadcast the evidence of Council genocide across the galaxy. 30 ships for the Memorial Worlds, said Captain Gino as he reviewed the battle plans. The rest of our fleet goes to Zentara Prime for the final assault. That leaves us outnumbered 50-1 at the main battle, pointed out Colonel Tejo. Good, replied weapons specialist Minho. If we're going to die, let's make sure they remember it. The attacks began simultaneously across the galaxy. Human ships dropped out of hyperspace at each Memorial World, fired their quantum resonance bombs, and dove through the collapsing shields. What they found inside horrified even the battle-hardened survivors. This is Captain Jiwan at Memorial World 15, she reported as her team moved through the preserved Kithani city. The bodies are perfectly preserved. Families caught in their homes, children in their schools. It's like time stopped during the attack. Same here, reported another team leader. Memorial World 23 has an entire Mordalan University preserved. Students still sitting at their desks with their research projects. But the real treasure was in the cultural archives. Each world contained the complete history, art, science, and philosophy of an extinct species. The humans quickly copied everything and began broadcasting it across the galaxy. The effect was immediate and devastating. Alien civilians saw for the first time what their leaders had been doing for millennia. Peaceful species with rich cultures, advanced sciences, and beautiful art, all destroyed because they grew too quickly for the Council's comfort. Meanwhile, at Zentara Prime, the final battle was beginning. Admiral Do-hyun watched the massive space station grow larger on his view screen. The Council had assembled their entire fleet to defend it, over 1,000 ships arranged in defensive formations around the station. All human ships, this is Admiral Do-hyun, he broadcast to his fleet. Today we end 10,000 years of galactic tyranny. For Earth, for humanity, for all the species that came before us. The Council fleet moved to intercept them, confident in their overwhelming numbers. Chancellor Keltar himself commanded the defense from his flagship, a massive crystal battleship that sparkled with energy. Foolish humans, the Chancellor broadcast on all frequencies. You face the combined might of 12 species. Surrender now and we will grant you quick deaths. Do-hyun's response was to order the attack. What happened next shocked every alien in the galaxy who was watching. The human ships didn't behave like any spacecraft the Council had ever seen. They moved in perfect coordination, like a single organism with many parts. Their weapons fired in precise sequences that overwhelmed alien shields through harmonic resonance rather than brute force. How are they doing that? Demanded Queen Zixara, as she watched human ships phase through solid matter. Our sensors show them in one place, but they're firing from another. They're manipulating space-time itself, reported an alien technician. Their ships exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The humans had spent months rebuilding their technology from scratch, combining alien science with human innovation. The result was ships that could bend reality itself. They fired weapons that ignored shields, moved through space in ways that defied physics, and coordinated with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. "It's not possible," whispered an alien captain as he watched a human ship disappear into a fold in space, only to reappear behind his formation and destroy 3 vessels in seconds. But the most shocking thing was the humans themselves. They fought with a cold fury that terrified their enemies. Every move was calculated, every shot was precise, every tactic was designed for maximum psychological impact. "They're not just trying to win," observed one alien officer. "They're trying to terrify us, and they were succeeding." As the battle raged, alien captains began reporting equipment failures, crew panics, and requests to retreat. Some ships simply fled without orders. Others surrendered rather than face the humans in direct combat. "Impossible," Chancellor Keltar muttered as he watched his fleet falling apart. "We outnumber them 50 to 1. "Numbers don't matter," replied his tactical advisor, a nervous insectoid creature. "They've evolved beyond us. This is what we feared they would become." The turning point came when the humans deployed their ultimate weapon. It wasn't a bomb or an energy beam, it was information. They hacked into the Council's communication systems and broadcast the records from the memorial worlds directly to every ship in the alien fleet. Suddenly, every alien soldier could see what their leaders had really been doing. Images of preserved children, families, and entire civilizations destroyed for the crime of growing too quickly. Scientific achievements erased, art forms lost forever, entire cultures turned into museum displays. "By the light of the crystals," whispered a Vorthak captain as he saw the images. "We've been serving monsters." One by one, alien ships began switching sides. Captains who had served the Council for decades turned their weapons on their own commanders. Species that had been loyal for millennia declared independence and joined the human fleet. Chancellor Keltar watched his empire crumble in real time. "Deploy the Star Killers," he ordered desperately. "Destroy everything. Better the galaxy burns than falls to these creatures." But it was too late. Human infiltration teams had already taken control of the Starkiller command systems. Instead of destroying human settlements, the ancient weapons turned on Council military bases. "This is impossible," the Chancellor said as he watched his own superweapons being used against him. "No species develops this quickly. No one adapts this fast." Admiral Dohyun's voice came over the communication system, calm and cold. "You wanted to destroy us because you feared what we might become. Congratulations. You created exactly what you were afraid of." The battle ended not with explosions or dramatic last stands, but with the Council's complete collapse. As news of the memorial world spread, every member species abandoned the alliance. Rebellions broke out on dozens of worlds. The galaxy's ruling structure, built over 10 millennia, fell apart in a matter of hours. Chancellor Keltar found himself alone on his flagship, his crystal body flickering weakly. Around him, the space station that had been the center of galactic power for thousands of years was now under human control. "What do you want?" he asked as human soldiers escorted him to the surrender ceremony. "Justice," replied Ambassador Hana as she entered the council chamber. "For 47 extinct species. For 8 billion humans. For 10,000 years of crimes against the galaxy." The formal surrender took place in the same hall where the humans had been betrayed months earlier. But now the roles were reversed. The council leaders knelt before the humans, begging for mercy they had never shown their victims. "Please," whispered Queen Zixara, her insect body trembling. "We were only maintaining order, preventing chaos." "You were maintaining your own power," Hana replied coldly, "and now that power is broken forever." Outside the station, human ships moved in perfect formation, their weapons trained on the few remaining council vessels. But the real victory wasn't military. It was the broadcast signals carrying the truth to every corner of the galaxy. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy knew what their rulers had really been doing, and they would never forget. As Captain Gino watched the surrender ceremony, he thought about Earth and all the humans who had died in the surprise attack. They had been ordinary people, teachers, farmers, engineers, children playing in parks. They had never wanted to be warriors, but their deaths had created something the galaxy had never seen before. Humans with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The galaxy's rulers had feared what humanity might become. Now they knew. The trial lasted for 3 months. In the same great assembly hall where humanity had been betrayed, the surviving council leaders faced judgment for 10,000 years of genocide. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, many seeing the truth about their former rulers for the first time. Ambassador Hana stood before the assembled court, no longer the hopeful diplomat who had once sought peace. The war had changed her, hardened her, but it had not broken her sense of justice. "We could execute them," she said, looking at the former council members who sat in restraints. "We could destroy their worlds as they destroyed ours. We could become the very monsters they claimed we were." Chancellor Keltar's crystal body flickered weakly. Queen Zixara's insect limbs trembled. They had ruled the galaxy for millennia, deciding the fate of entire species with casual indifference. Now they waited to learn their own fate. "But that would make us no better than them," Hana continued. "Instead, they will live. They will live long enough to see what the galaxy becomes without their poison." The sentence was exile. The former council leaders would be transported to a barren world, where they could spend the rest of their lives thinking about their crimes. They would have food, shelter, and safety, more mercy than they had ever shown their victims. "Why?" asked Queen Zixara as the guards led her away. "Why spare us?" Hana looked at her with cold eyes. "Because 47 species never got the chance to choose mercy or vengeance. We're making that choice for them." The real work began after the trial ended. The galaxy was in chaos. Without the Council's iron control, trade routes had collapsed. Diplomatic relations were shattered and dozens of species were fighting among themselves. The humans could have imposed their own empire, ruling through fear as the Council had done. Instead, they did something unprecedented. "We're establishing the Memorial Council," announced Captain Gino at a gathering of species representatives. "Every extinct species will have a voice in the new government." Dr. Sola explained how it would work. "Using the genetic samples and cultural records from the memorial worlds, we can create artificial representatives for each destroyed species. They won't be resurrections, we can't bring back the dead, but they will carry the knowledge, values, and perspectives of their people." The first memorial representative was a Cathani construct named Veltar. It appeared as a shimmering hologram with the memories and personality patterns of a Cathani philosopher who had lived 500 years ago. "I speak for a species that was silenced for the crime of curiosity," Veltar said in its first address to the galaxy. "We explored the stars too quickly, asked too many questions, reached too far. The Council decided we were dangerous and erased us from existence." One by one, other memorial representatives joined the Council. Scientists, artists, philosophers, and leaders from 47 extinct civilizations took their place in the new galactic government. They couldn't vote on laws or command fleets, but they could advise, counsel, and remind the living of the cost of tyranny. "It's working," reported communications specialist Nari as she monitored galactic news feeds. "Species that have been enemies for centuries are starting to cooperate. The memorial representatives are helping them find common ground. But not everyone accepted the new order. Some former council species tried to rebuild their old power structures. Others attempted to create their own empires. A few even tried to develop weapons to challenge human supremacy. That's when they learned about humanity's new role in the galaxy. The first test came when the hegemony remnants attacked a peaceful research station. The assault was swift and brutal, killing hundreds of scientists from multiple species. It was exactly the kind of aggression that the old council would have ignored unless it threatened their interests. The human response was different. Admiral Dohyun's fleet appeared in the hegemony system within hours of the attack. But they didn't come alone. Ships from a dozen species flew alongside them, united under the banner of the Memorial Council. "Attention hegemony forces," Dohyun broadcast. "You have committed an act of aggression against peaceful beings. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." The hegemony commander laughed. "You think we fear you humans? We know you're only a few thousand survivors. We outnumber you 1,000 to 1. "Numbers," replied Dohyun quietly. "You still think this is about numbers." The battle was over in minutes. Human ships moved like living things, their weapons striking with precision that seemed impossible. But the real shock was how the other species fought alongside them. Former enemies worked in perfect coordination, sharing tactics and covering each other's weaknesses. "How are they doing that?" demanded the hegemony commander as his fleet fell apart around him. "They're fighting for something bigger than themselves," observed his tactical officer. "They're fighting for the memory of the dead." When the last hegemony ship surrendered, Dohyun delivered a message that spread across the galaxy within hours. "Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks the old ways were better," he said. The Memorial Council protects all peaceful species. We are the guardians now. We remember everything, we forget nothing, and we will never again allow genocide to stain the stars. Years passed. The new galactic order slowly took shape. Trade resumed along safer routes. Scientific cooperation replaced secretive hoarding of knowledge. Art and culture flourished as species shared their achievements instead of hiding them. The humans built a new world called New Earth, but it wasn't just for humanity. Representatives from dozens of species lived there, working together in ways that would have been impossible under the old council. Children of different species played together in parks that honored the memory of extinct civilizations. Captain Gino, now elderly and white-haired, stood in the memorial garden at the heart of New Earth. 47 memorial pillars rose from the ground, each one dedicated to a species that the council had destroyed. At the center stood a simple stone with 8 billion names, every human who had died in the original attack. "Grandfather Gino," called a young voice. He turned to see his grandson running toward him, followed by friends of various alien species. "Tell us about the old days again," Gino smiled sadly. "Which old days do you want to hear about?" "About Earth," said a young Vorthak child. "About the first humans who went to the stars. About the war," added a hegemony youngling. "About how the galaxy learned to be free." Gino sat down on a bench facing the memorial pillars. The children gathered around him, their faces full of curiosity and hope. They had never known a galaxy ruled by fear and oppression. To them, cooperation between species was natural, genocide was unthinkable, and the memorial representatives were just another part of government. "Long ago," Gino began, "there were people called humans who lived on a beautiful blue world. They were curious and adaptable, always reaching for the stars. But some beings in the galaxy feared that curiosity. They thought it was dangerous." "But curiosity isn't dangerous," protested one of the children. "No," Gino agreed. "But fear is. Fear makes people do terrible things. It makes them hurt others to protect themselves. It makes them choose silence over song, emptiness over diversity." He pointed to the memorial pillars. "Each of these represents billions of lives cut short by fear. People who might have discovered new worlds, created beautiful art, or solved great problems. We'll never know what they might have achieved because they were never given the chance." "But you stopped the bad people," said his grandson. "We did," Gino nodded. "But we paid a terrible price. We had to become something we never wanted to be. Warriors instead of explorers, avengers instead of dreamers. And are you sad about it?" asked the Vorthak child. Gino considered the question carefully. "I'm sad about what we lost, but I'm proud of what we built. Look around you. Children of dozens of species playing together, scientists sharing discoveries, artists learning from each other. This is what the galaxy was meant to be." In the distance, ships from the Memorial Fleet Patrol passed overhead. They were beautiful vessels designed for exploration and peacekeeping rather than war. But everyone in the galaxy knew what they were capable of if peaceful beings were threatened. "Will there be another war?" asked one of the children. "I hope not," Gino replied. "But if someone tries to bring back the old ways, if they try to silence the curious or destroy the different, then yes. The galaxy will remember what humans become when the quiet ones are pushed too far." As the children ran off to play, Gino remained sitting by the memorial. The sun was setting over New Earth, painting the sky in colors that reminded him of the sunsets on old Earth. He could almost see the faces of friends and family who had died in the attack, hear their voices in the wind. "We did it," he whispered to the memorial stones. "We made them pay, but more than that, we made sure it could never happen again." A gentle hand touched his shoulder. He looked up to see Ambassador Hana, also aged but still carrying herself with dignity. "Regrets?" she asked. "Many," Gino replied, "but not about the choice we made. They gave us a binary decision, run or fight. We chose to fight. Do you think they understand now? The surviving council species?" Gino looked at the alien children playing with human youngsters in the garden. Their children do, and that's what matters. Above them, the memorial representatives appeared as holographic,